So here we are. The good news is we're back in the dyno. But the bad news is that 383 is back. And this time, I hope I can fix that leak.
Nick's Garage is supported by Atlas Equipment and K-Tool International. Nick's Garage has been called a shop of dreams, a place where dream cars and their engines are rebuilt and restored. But nobody knows better than Nick that the dream comes to reality through countless hours of hard work, patience, and persistence. But sometimes, even when Nick gives a project everything he's got, the dream can be a nightmare.
Hi, I'm Nick, and welcome to my dyno room. Yes, if you guys could take a good look here, we got a 383 that's been on the dyno before. And this one belongs to Kendall from Detroit. Where he had it built in Detroit, he brought the engine home, installed it into a 68 Charger, and the next thing he knows, he got it running, and the rear seal was leaking bad. And at the machine shop who built the engine didn't want to know nothing about it. So Kendall on his own, with a couple of friends of his, kept changing the retainer, the rear seal, to fix the rear leak on the crankshaft. Eventually never did. He did it like 6, 7, 8 times. And then he gave up, took the engine out of the car, brought it to me here last year. He told me, you know, Nick, if you can fix the rear seal, take a look at it. And we did a test before we took apart the engine when he brought it here.
Nick wanted to see for himself how badly the 383 was leaking. So before he did any work, he put it on the dyno. And within a few minutes, there was an oil slick forming underneath.
So then he told me tear it down, build it, you know, give it a little bit more compression, give it a little bit better cam, and of course work on the rear seal. We saw that the knurl where the seal sits was not very clear, or should I say, it wasn't perfect. So we had to send out the crank and get a machine, have a nice finish on the area where the seal sits for the rear crank. And at the same time, I changed the pistons and the cam. You know, I said, you know what, we have it here, let's give it a little bit more power than it did from the factory. We had the engine built, we threw it on the dyno, and we got it running. And then eventually, after half an hour running, it started leaking a little bit. So what did I do? I took down a retainer, I replaced the retainer with another factory retainer, I put another rear seal, and again, when I did a test, it went good, it didn't leak. The horsepower he got out of the engine when he brought it here from Detroit was 329 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds of torque. Then after I built it, he made 362 horsepower and 426 foot-pounds of torque. So Kendall came from Detroit, picked it up, put it in his car, and then drove it, and after a little while again, it started leaking a bit. So here we are again. He took it out of the car, brought it back here, and now we're gonna do a few changes. But I also wanted to say something else. The very first guy that built this engine did a line bore. And I think all this trouble is because he did a very deep line bore. Don't forget, when you keep cutting a lot, the crank is raised up into the block. Not the area where the seal sits. You already fixed the saddles that you bring it up and then you do a line bore. But the seal stays back in the original location. So what you're really doing is you're compressing the seal on the upper half of the crank and the lower half has less pressure.
Nick doesn't give up easy, and he's got a couple of tricks left up his sleeve to try and tackle the leaky 383.
Let me take you guys in the engine room, show you what I've done with the one-piece seal versus the two-piece seal. All right, let me give you guys a description. This is the seal we kept putting on. This is a typical Felpro oil seal that I use on a lot of 440s, 383s, Hemis. It's the same part number. And you know, it usually does the job. I get them correct about 90% of the jobs I do. Sometimes when I replace them the second time, they work. But in this case, on this 383 that belongs to Kendo, we are not lucky. We just kept going after seal, changing retainers to aluminum billet to stock factory retainers, and it kept leaking. And then last year when the engine was brought here, I built the engine, I also took the rear main bearing. And if you look at this here, Chrysler made a special anti-leak rear main bearing, which has a couple of grooves on the upper main bearings like so. So this is what I've done. Now we installed a brand new retainer. It's aluminum billet, okay? Also, we also installed a Fast Fish one-piece seal. It is a one-piece. It doesn't have two cuts like this one here. If you take a good look, this one only has one cut, like so. So then what you have to do is you have to spiral it on the crank like so, okay? Like this. And then you put this at a 12 o'clock position where the cut is inside the block. Now I'm hoping that this does the job. I replaced the retainer. I went for the Fast Fish seal that I've used in the past on other cars that did the job. And now I'm hoping that it's gonna work for the 383. But then again, is it a rear seal problem? Or is it something to do with the line board that they've done? I don't know. So we're gonna keep trying. So I've done this. I've got a Fast Fish seal, which we're gonna get running in a few minutes. And then if all that fails, I'm gonna go to the rope seal. This is not an easy installation, you guys. This is gonna take a lot of work. I have to remove the crankshaft to put a rope seal. Yeah, you know, sometimes they leak also, but you know what? I left it as the last resort, and I hope it does the job. So you guys, if you wanna stay tuned and stay with me right now, I'm gonna start the 383 on the dyno, warm it up, and I hope it doesn't leak. And if it doesn't leak, I'm gonna run the temperature up to 180 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit on the oil temperature and see how it goes. And you know, after all this is done, I just want to give credit to Kendall that he's come here twice already with the engine. And Kendall, I hope we succeed right now with the Fast Fish seal, which he supplied with me. Also, when I was in Carlisle this past summer in Carlisle, Pennsylvania in July, a lot of people were talking about the rear seal, and a lot of people were saying good things about the Fast Fish seal. And I also brought up the story about the 383 that belongs to Kendall. So I just hope this works so we can finalize it, and so I can take delivery of the engine so Kendall could finally put it into his car and of course drive it around. And another thing is, let's see what kind of horsepower it's going to make with the factory carburetor, factory exhaust manifolds at the same time while we're doing all this. Kendall, are you ready? Okay, I'm just about to get it started. Now, this carburetor has been sitting on the shelf for quite a few years, and Kendall's asked me to once go back to the original carburetor with the exhaust manifolds. So I put the original carburetor on the dyno, and I'm sure I hope it'll have no fuel leaks when I put the fuel pump on. But anyways, it's here for me to check it out, and I want to run the engine with his carburetor, his manifolds, and at the same time, the most important thing is let's look at that oil leak, and hopefully I've got it fixed this time. And here I go, putting on the fuel pump. Okay, let's check for leaks. There's no leaks. Okay, you know, after sitting for a while on the shelf. But then again, it's a Carter. You know, I love these Carter carburetors. They always work for me. Okay, I've tied the choke open. That's his original carburetor. It's got the points distributor. I hope the timing is where it was set when he took it out of the car, because he told me he hasn't touched it. Okay, we got water in the engine. Okay, the moment has come for me to test this. Oil leak at the rear crank. And this is the third time this engine is on the dyno. Hopefully it works. Here we go. Let's give it a shot. I'm going to check it while it's warming up if everything's going good. So when I'm killing the time to warm up the oil. Okay, I'm going to check the timing. I'm going to check the timing later on. It should be good. but I want to run the oil hot. So I've got the oil temperature set up on the oil pan, on the oil sump. And at the same time, we'll check the water. So here comes the magic moment. Here we go. I'm going to start it, and hopefully everything goes good. Check the water pump. Do we have ignition? Yes. Water pressure is good. We'll have to let it run for a while. Okay, so far so good, but you know what? We need to give it time and see how it goes. I hope it's good. And the paint's burning off the exhaust manifolds from what I see. Okay, I'm gonna go in there and see how it's going. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. Oil pressure's good. Well, that didn't work. Oh my God. There you have it. You know, is it a seal problem? Is it a line bore problem? Is there a crack in the block that I don't see? It just keeps on leaking oil. And you know, I remember the first time I built this engine, I put a seal and it didn't leak. It leaked after a little while. Then I did a second seal on it, on the dyno. It leaked after when it was installed in the car. After a few miles, or should I say, after so much time running. So now here I put a fast fish seal. Is it the seal? I don't think so. I think it's something to do with the line bore or something going on. And I also installed a brand new billet aluminum retainer. So now we only have one thing left. We're gonna take an engine off the dyno, turn it around, lift the crank, put a rope seal, and hopefully it's my last chance to get it done. I'm gonna go back at it. I don't want to deliver the engine the way it is, leaking oil. And then after, when it stops leaking oil, I want to tune it with the exhaust manifolds and its original carburetor. and then hopefully you can take it home. So you guys, there you have it. Here we are in the dyno room trying to fix an oil leak, which has been done maybe between me and my client 10, 11, 12 times, and still we have a failure. Now, I know a lot of viewers out there, or a lot of people that own mopeds have this issue with the rear seal leaking. Some work with it, some don't work with it. I mean, you know, I've got a lot of comments on the rear seal. I've worked with Felpro, they've worked for me. And in this case, for this engine, I don't know why, I'm not lucky with it, but I'm gonna keep trying. And if you guys are watching, maybe you can learn something, the good or the bad, I don't know what you wanna call it. I'm gonna try everything, and I'll give it my best shot. And up till now, I gotta cool it down, take it off, and do it again. And this time we're gonna go with the rope seal. And if it is, you know, if it does the job, I hope it does, and that's it. But it's not gonna be an easy installation on the rope seal because I have to remove the crankshaft. Maybe I should have done that in the first place, I don't know. But you know what? Till next time, let me try with the rope seal and see how it goes. A lot of people don't wanna go with the rope seal, but you know what, in this matter, I have no choice but to go with it. So, whatever we gotta do is cool it down, take the engine off the dyno, turn it upside down, remove the crankshaft, put a rope seal, and put it back on the dyno, and hopefully, of course, we're gonna put it back on the video for our reviewers to see it, and to see where I stand with this situation. My God, you know, I've done a lot of mopars, but this one really let me down. Well, what can you do? It's part of my job. And you know what? I'm gonna tackle it until I get it done. But you know what, if a job it is now, to take out off, turn upside down, oh.
Despite Nick's best efforts, the Leaky 383 has won the battle again today, on this third time on the dyno. But Nick has Spartan blood in his veins. He isn't surrendering yet. He pulls the 383 off the dyno again and confirms the leak is from the rear seal. Now the only thing standing between this numbers matching block and the scrap heap is the old school rope seal. This story isn't over yet. And now here's a much happier story. The story of Nick's summer vacation and the Greek Corvette.
So this is something different. I just want to talk about my vacation in Europe, in Greece, Paros, Greece, the island of where my mother was born. I just want to talk about my little vacation and what I experienced on the island and what I met and what I've done and what I've seen. It's a beautiful place, you know. It's not as crowded as Santorini or Mykonos, but it's a good island. It's in between Santorini and Mykonos. It's in between there. There's a lot of local restaurants, a lot of tourists over there. You're gonna have a great time. You know, we've been everywhere. And if you guys go to Nassau, that's where the youngsters go. That's where all the clubs are. That's where everybody parties out. Parikal is more of a quieter town. That's where we stay. And then there's Lefkes, which is a little hometown in the middle of the island. Great place. If you take a tour on the whole island, there's a lot of things to do. We had a great time with my family there. And, you know, spending time on the beach, cafes, clubs, you know, we had a great time. And, you know, we got to know the owners of the hotel, the beach, and all that. Then I got to know them very well. Then they asked me a couple of years ago when I was there, because we've been there for quite a few years, they asked me what I do for a living. And I told them I work with American muscle cars. And they go, what do you mean American muscle cars? I told them, yeah, I play with old cars. The next thing you know is they tell me, you know what, we got a Corvette, an old Corvette, 1981 Corvette in the container that's on the beach. So Phil, the co-owner of the hotel, just said, you know what, let me open it up and show it to you. And you know, being a very, very hot day in the sun all day, and that container is made out of steel, it absorbed so much heat from the sun, closed container, then when you open it up and you walk in there with no ventilation, man, it's an oven. Here we are in Greece, of course. We're looking at the Corvette here that belongs to Philip's family. Okay, we got some tools out. Okay, let's see what we're going to start with. Should have brought some gloves. I don't want to get dirty here today. You know, just to want to show you guys, you know, after working on so many years, so many months in the winter, look at my fingernails. So they're nice and clean. Now, be back at work. Phil, where's the screwdriver? It's, you know, you don't expect an American muscle car or any sports car to be on the island of Paros. It's a small island. Of course, they have all imports there. It's a vacation place. You know, we go there once in a while on a couple of weeks or 3 weeks in a year. Enjoy ourselves, enjoy the beach, the hot weather, the beautiful food, the great, or should I say the great food. And then, you know, opening up a container to see a Corvette in a container that's been sitting like for practically 10 years. And they might start it once in a while. You know, so they got the keys, they opened up the container, we went inside, took a few pictures, you know, and then he also mentioned to me last year when we opened up again the container last year to see what he needed. And then he said he might get the car running before it gets there this year. And then when I got there this year, he told me that there's no brakes in the car. So we said, let's check it out. Open the container, open the hood. Okay, here we go. This is what's called crossfire injection. They don't make them anymore. Now it's all multi-port. There's one injector body right there, and there's the other one. It's a 350 81 Corvette. Seems like it's only got 7,000 miles on it. T-tops, yeah, T-tops also. And it's hot in here. Probably 32 degrees outside, Celsius. So, okay, this is a cool car, man. Wow, you expect an 81 Corvette to be on the island of Palos Cruz? Or Paradiso Hotel here at Marcello Beach? Too much. Philip, what's going on, buddy?
I took the airplanes around.
Ja, after that for the Sida. After that election.
You have to send two of that. Okay.
Yeah, I think we need 2 air filters.
Take
AC type, yeah. So we did the best we can. We went in, we tried to make a little video. We took a few pictures, and the main concern was to see why the car had no brakes. And of course, he added to, he wanted to ask me to make a little list of what I could ship to him when I get back into Canada. So we went through the car, and I noticed that it needed quite a few things. The air filters were dirty, the PCV valve grounded was busted, the AIR pump was seized. You know, we're hoping to get it started today, but we need to buy fuel and of course a battery. So the master cylinder needs to be filled, but then again, maybe we're going to get him a new one. Let's take a good look. It's empty. Wow, sure is hot in here, man. Let me tell you. Okay. Do we need calipers? Do we need seals on the calipers? You know, sitting in a container that gets that hot, things dry up, and before you know it, things are not going to work. So we need fuel to get it running, and then again, even though we do get it running, there's a lot of work involved to take the car out of the container. We don't want to get it started and fumigate us here. So what I'm just looking at, I'm looking to see what he can use. I mean, so I could see what he can need, so I could send him from Canada when I get back. So I made a list with him because I'd like to go there next year and take it for a drive. You know, they wanted to say, you know, Nick, we want you to check it out, but let's put some brakes on the car. Let's see what else he needs. So what I'm going to do is I made a list. I'm going to ship him everything he needs. They're going to get going on it during the winter time and see what they can do. And if there's anything else they're stuck with, when I get there in the summertime next year, I'll take it from there and see what else they need. Philip, I'm going to get you one of these just in case. Okay. And it dried up. I doubt it very much. I'm going to go take a look around the brake lines and the calipers to see if there's any fluid leaking from any of the pistons from the caliper. And if it's not that, I'm sure because you haven't driven it so long, this thing evaporated, the brake fluid evaporated, and for that reason, you don't have any brakes. You know, you go on vacation to be on the beach, but then again, you know, you're sitting there, you know, there's a container in the back on the beach, and you wonder what's in there, you know, and before you know it, there's a Corvette in there. You know, even though you're on vacation, I still like to look at this stuff. You know, it is an old car. It is on a beach. No American cars are there like the muscle car, like a Corvette. So I get interested. And of course, I'll spend the day with Phil, going in the container, see what it's all about, and go through the details. After all, you don't see this every day on any Greek island.
You know what? I suggest next year bring me the items you see that I need.
Okay, so that's it.
I will have this Corvette ready in the front of the container.
Okay.
Ready to go away, to go out.
All right, there's a lot of work. Yeah.
To do our job more easy and.
Okay, that's a good idea. So okay, prepared for next year because we're here every year anyways. It's a lot of work to get this car out of here. On the beach, you gotta.
It's tough right now, you know.
It's pretty tough.
Many people who have to serve them.
Well, at least we got a good idea what we're looking for.
Most people are coming to Paros in order to have a good time, not to go repair Corvettes. But we are crazy guys, and we like that.
That's my job, man. That's my job.
Exactly.
This is what I live for. Anyways, it was fun. We got very hot in there. We did a little video, see what you guys like it or not, whatever. It's gonna be exciting, and hopefully next year we take it for a drive. And I wanted to give a special thank you to Phil at Paradiso Hotel. And they have a beautiful hotel. If you guys want to get away from a crowded city like Athens, pay a visit to Paros and you guys will love it and enjoy it. Phil, if you're watching, thank you very much. It was a great tour of the Corvette on a container on the beach. What a hot day, but I sure enjoyed it. Anyways, I want to tell you guys thank you for watching us here on Nick's Garage. Till next time, and maybe next year again, we'll be back at it working on this Vette. Thank you.
Bye from Paros. Goodbye.
Bye.
So, as summer comes to a close and engine building season returns to Nick's Garage, we hope that you enjoyed some time in the sun this year. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
And you guys, if you look down below the video, we have a whole bunch of merchandise that you guys can buy. So whatever you like, buy it, love it, wear it, and enjoy it. And help spread the word of Nick's Garage. And if you have some time, check out our Patreon page. We have extra content and you guys can watch it and take it from there. And we'll see you next time.